Next on Worcester News Tonight, Southbridge teacher arrested. Police say he set off a lockdown by leaving ammunition in his school. Plus, a roundtable meeting calls for more to be done to address inequities in the Worcester Public Schools. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. A Southbridge teacher was in court today. Police say he purposely left live ammunition in his school and says his actions were part of a bizarre scheme to prove a point about safety. Our Cam Jandro is live in Southbridge with the latest. Cam?
Anna, police arrested 57-year-old Alfred Purcell for bringing a live 9mm bullet into a stairwell at Southbridge High School. Police say it was an attempt at showing how dangerous Southbridge High School could be. Today, Purcell faced a judge and the administration spoke on the issue. Surveillance video appears to show Southbridge High School teacher Alfred Purcell dropping a live 9mm bullet in a stairwell. Moments later, he's seen taking a photo of the ammunition and calling the school's resource officer. It led to a lockdown and later a police investigation into the 57-year-old.
And to have someone who I've hired to ensure a safe environment for our children to do something like this is abhorrent.
Police also recovered more than 100 additional rounds in his car. Facing a judge Thursday, Purcell's attorney claims it was a big misunderstanding, but prosecutors say his acts were intentional.
That the defendant had taken a bullet out of his pants pocket and placed it in the hallway.
Police say Purcell allegedly told them he did this because he was unhappy with how a similar situation was handled. When being booked Thursday, Purcell allegedly told police this is why the school needs metal detectors.
If you think that we need metal detectors in this community, if you think there's any type of other safety issues at our schools, you should go through the appropriate channels, the police department, myself, the school administration.
Purcell is facing numerous charges, including 2 counts of unlawful possession of ammunition and possessing a firearm without an FID card. The charges come as a shock to the district superintendent.
And I intend to do everything I can to ensure that the Southbridge Public Schools responds appropriately and that we make sure our children can come to school, trust the adults that work with them.
Now, Purcell is being held on $500 cash bail. He must stay at least 500 yards away from Southbridge High School. He'll be in front of a judge again on June 24th. We're live at the Southbridge Public Schools Administration Building. I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester is launching a new program to notify schools when a child has experienced or witnessed traumatic events. The Handle with Care program gives notification to school personnel and teachers. The goal is to help students succeed in school. According to the city, research shows trauma can affect the student's ability to learn and function appropriately in the classroom.
Some tough numbers come out recently about the opioid deaths in Worcester. A lot of those people who died, a lot of those people who have overdosed but have survived, have kids who are in the Worcester Public Schools. The idea that something happened, that these kids need to be kind of handled with care over the next couple of days or weeks is important for teachers and principals to know, so they have an understanding of some traumatic events that might have gone on in this child's life, and they may need a little extra attention.
The state's Department of Children and Families will also issue Handle with Care notices to the Worcester Public Schools when they receive information of a traumatic event affecting a student. The Worcester Business Development Corporation celebrates some new projects downtown at its annual meeting Thursday night. The new Business Improvement District was one of the projects they highlighted. The Worcester Bid ambassadors were on the job downtown, assisting guests and monitoring the streets around the Mercantile Center. President and CEO Craig Blaze says it will enhance the area's safety and appearance.
The goal is to take this tremendous renaissance that's been happening in downtown Worcester and take it to the next level in the area of cleanliness, security, public safety, a banner program, a landscaping program, so that the connection from City Square to Main Street is critically important.
The WBDC also recognized Chip Norton, developer of the Mercantile Center, with the Bowditch Economic Development Award. The Mayoral Commission on Latino Advancement and Education meets tonight. They're calling for more action to make the Worcester Public Schools equitable for all of its students. Our Gretchen LaRosa has the story.
We're not going away, right? This community is not going away. At a roundtable meeting, the Mayoral Commission on Latino Education and Advancement discusses ongoing concerns of discrimination in the Worcester Public Schools.
So this is an issue that when we as a community, when there's an issue and we're failing and there's an administration that's failing our students, we need to be able to figure out what's happening, what's wrong, and how do we fix it in order to make sure that all children have an equitable education.
The meeting takes place a week after the school committee approved a 3-year extension of the superintendent's contract. Those in attendance tonight said they hoped the administration would show up to hear their concerns.
So you have decision makers, but there's, out of everyone in school committee, there's only one person from school committee here. So you have people making decisions for our kids, but they're not here. They're saying, yes, let's move forward. But when we are coming together to move forward, there's a visible absence of collaboration.
One change the community agreed on was the hiring of a chief diversity officer for the Worcester Public School system.
I want to see a school district that's reflective of the city of Worcester, not just simply of our students, but of our values. It just means equity, giving kids what they need to be successful. So if we can approach it from that lens, then I think we can find ways to build more bridges instead of building more walls.
Now, Worcester Public Schools, they say they are working to address issues of inequity in the school department while also working on order of due process for students. Gretchen LaRosa, Worcester News Tonight.
Police are investigating a death in Berlin after a car fell on top of a man at an auto body shop. Nearby auto shops say it's a dangerous job and something they always think about. Our Rosalind Flaherty has more.
Nearby businesses say this is a horrific tragedy and say the owner was semi-retired and was a nice guy who worked alone. Flowers left outside a Berlin auto body shop where police say a car fell on top of a man.
Just feel awful about it.
I was shocked and surprised how it happened.
Police responded to Tommy's Auto Station on Old Central Street Wednesday afternoon. They found the man unresponsive and suffering from serious injuries. It's unclear how long the victim was under the vehicle.
It's an accident, it's just too bad that it happened to him.
Nearby auto repair shops say the owner, Tommy, is the man who died. They knew him as a nice guy who worked alone.
I bought a car off of him. He was really nice about the whole deal. Easygoing guy.
I've known him for years, just very vaguely, just when I needed something.
It's unclear what exactly happened, but mechanics say it's something they think about every time they get underneath a car and say it's a harsh reality.
I work alone, so I know how, things like that can happen. I always try to take as much safety as I can. I have my lifts always inspected.
You're very cautious about doing that.
The official cause of death is under investigation. In Berlin, Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester police are investigating a serious pedestrian accident. It happened on the corner of Southbridge and Hammond Street around 11 Thursday morning. Police say a tow truck ran over a man's foot and the victim, who was in a crosswalk, was seriously injured. A section of Hammond Street closed for a couple of hours. Statewide, the number of opioid-related overdose deaths is decreasing by 4%. But in Worcester, the numbers continue to rise. The city and other services are working to help people addicted to drugs, but say unfortunately there's no quick fix. Our Chandler Walsh explains.
Opioid-related overdose deaths in Worcester rose 21% from 2017 to 2018. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health released the data in a new report this week.
It just highlights that we still have an opiate crisis that we need to address, and we need to look at access and treatment.
Worcester's Health and Human Services Commissioner Dr. Maddie Castile says they've been following the numbers all along. The city has many prevention and treatment initiatives through trainings, campaigns, and task forces.
A lot of this stuff didn't start to happen until 2015. There's a whole lot of stigma in our community regarding opioid use and what people feel and did they do this to themselves?
Castile says the opiate crisis won't be a quick fix. She says they're still working to address things like drug use in school-aged individuals and in jails.
How do we deal with trauma in the kids? How do we look at working with them in their homes? What's happening there? So it's a process of changing that piece. It's not going to change overnight. And if we've been incarcerating for years, that reversal is going to take a long time to happen.
AdCare Hospital uses data from the state to educate their patients. Clinician Susan Hillis says locally, the number of people they're seeing is on the rise.
I think that we are are getting patients that are talking about overdosing and that they've overdosed and have needed Narcan a number of times.
The city is looking into more programs like a mobile prevention van. It would provide outreach to overdose hotspots.
There's only 20% of people that are accessing care who have addiction. 80% of the people, we're not even touching them. So we have to go out to them and we have to find them and we have to start providing care.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Abby's House honors 2 longtime supporters with an award for their commitment in service. Karen Nunley and Christine Judicki-Crapo were given the Annette Rafferty Award for their consistent work with Abby's House. Both award winners had a big role in the renovations at the 52 High Street home, which will help 55 women in need of safe and supportive housing. Abby's House Executive Director says both award winners represent Abby's House values.
We have the Annette Rafferty Award, and we're honoring Chris Judicki and we're Karen Nunley. They're both longtime volunteers, and they really represent the values of Abby's House and a real commitment to the mission of Abby's. They both have volunteered for a number of years. I think Karen has volunteered for close to 30 years and Chris close to 15.
Annette Rafferty was the founder of Abby's House in 1976. The award signifies outstanding commitment to their mission of keeping women safe.